Right then, let's do this. This is the 16-17 season preview, Premier League season preview for Full-Time Devils. We're going to be talking all things Man United and what is to come in the next few months. So today I'm joined by Jay, Red Flag Flying High, and Stephen Howson, as always, and Jamie Jackson from The Guardian as well. So today, guys, we've got to start with the new man, and that's not necessarily talking about Paul Pogba either. It's talking about the new manager coming up to his first Premier League game this weekend, Jose Mourinho. What can we expect from a Jose team which is going to be different from a Louis van Gaal team? Jay?
That's going to be different. Well, hopefully it won't be just all about possession. I think he's already addressed that and said he doesn't want to just keep possession. That's not his priority, which we all know. With Van Gaal was like the be-all and end-all. He didn't even seem to care about the score at times. It was just about whether we'd have more possession than the opposition. There are going to be similarities. You expect a strong defence and sort of not many mistakes. But I'm hoping that we're going to see a lot more attacking football than we've seen over the last 2 seasons because, as a United fan, it's been pretty dire, especially at home. So many 0-0s and half-time 0-0s. It's just beyond a joke. So hopefully a little bit more attacking, or a lot more attacking, and less possession-obsessed football, and getting players like the likes of Martial and Mkhitaryan and Rooney more on the ball than we've seen in the past.
Makes you think, doesn't it, as well, with the likes of Anthony Martial. He had a good season last season, and that was playing Louis van Gaal standard football. Maybe playing a bit more attacking football, we could expect a bit more. Howson, what are you expecting from Jose Mourinho?
Similar, but this is going to get misconstrued, but let's start the season off how we mean to go on, getting misquoted. So, Louis van Gaal and Jose Mourinho. Louis van Gaal played attacking football, but it was his method of attacking football that wasn't right. He did try to attack. Most of our territory was in the final third. It was just, there was no penetration, there was no speed, there was no imagination, and there was nobody running with the ball. It was attacking, but it wasn't attacking effectively. If you see where Chris Smalling's average position was, it was in the opposition half quite a lot of the time. So we are going to attack. Will we see more attacking football? I don't think we will. I think we'll see less territory. It's all about how you define everything. But what I think we will see is quicker football. I think that's the difference. Moving through the thirds a lot quicker, and I think that's going to be the difference. That's the thing that I've seen from United in pre-season that I hope carries in. Antonio Valencia is the epitome of the quickness that we've seen the football played with. So we are going from Valencia that used to bomb burst down the touchline and then play a 45-degree pass inside to a centre-half. Yeah. Now we're seeing Antonio Valencia tearing down the touchline, throwing a cross in. It's 2010 vintage Antonio Valencia, and I absolutely love it. And I think that slight change of focus a little bit, if you like, that plus the fact that we've got a target that can not just get his head on it, get his foot over his head on something in Zlatan Ibrahimovic means that I think that there's a lot more that comes into the box will be going into the net. We're not going to see 88 crosses Fulham Moyes. We're not going to see 88% possession LVG Man United. I think we're going to see fast-paced, counter-attacking football with some real quality throughout the team, and I am excited.
You bang on there what you said about Tony V. I thought watching that Community Shield, there were loads of times where I saw both the fullbacks actually, and the wingers as well, where they'd go down, hit the byline, and I'm thinking, I'm expecting them sort of to pass it back to the midfielders because that's what I've got used to over the last year. But they're actually putting a cross in, and it's great to see. Do you think we'll see more of that then this season, Jamie?
The word he used a few times in his unveiling, you want to call it that, Jose Mourinho, was aggressive, and that's kind of what you're saying. I think, sort of more just forward thinking. The Real Madrid side of his that won the last one to win the La Liga scored a record number of goals. I think for any top flight European, club over 100 goals. So
he did have Ronaldo though.
Yeah, sure. But if you remember his first Chelsea team, Aaron Robin, that scored a hatful of goals. Still a record, I think, for our Premier League. So, he has got it in him. I think it's a bit of a myth that he doesn't play nice attacking football, rather than the boring attacking football you're sort of picking out with Van Gaal. So, so let's wait and see. You can't argue with the transfer window he's had. Maybe we'll get onto that a bit.
I'm
later
sure we
on.
will.
Yes, definitely.
No, we're not talking about that.
Compared to
we was going to skip it, weren't we? But it's genuine to talk about it. I suppose we'll talk about it.
Compared to the Fellaini one, for example.
Oh my days.
So, yeah, but it was very interesting. In that opening press conference, he was really quick to say, nothing against Van Gaal, but actually, I'm aggressive, and the implication being that he was very passive. And I think, we have seen a little bit of that so far. So, yeah, I think that's kind of what he's saying he's going to do, and the signings kind of back that up.
I think he's given a few sly digs to Louis van Gaal, I think, since he's been here. But I guess it's hard not to, isn't it, though, really, when you see what's happened in the past.
Can we just go back to that a second and contrast this window with Moyes' first window,
Oh.
where we signed Fellaini for obscene amount of money
And-
on the last day of the window.
Exactly, we hadn't even signed him yet. So we hadn't even had him ready for the season. It's
Just
like,
think, just think back to the. I mean, we got linked to everybody, including Ronaldo, in that window, and signed Fellaini on the final day of the season. And at the moment, we're sitting. The season's not even here yet. We've got we wanted 4 targets. We've got 4 targets, and 3 of those are the best in their leagues from around the world. Are you kidding me? If you'd have told me at the start of the window that would have happened, including a world record transfer fee, I'd be like, yeah. And I play Footy Manager too, mate.
Exactly. Guys, make sure you get in the comments as well on YouTube, because Howson's on it, reading some of them out. And get onto Twitter as well, at FullTimeDEVILS, and the best ones will be coming up.
Throw
on
some questions
screen.
in, and we've got some questions, and we'll hit them out to Jay and Jamie as well. So if you've got some good questions that you want, burn in, get them in the comments, and we'll read them out.
Yeah, right. I want to talk about pre-season. Been a mixed pre-season for United. I'm sure a lot of people say it's been a disappointing one. I know that you were out there, Jamie, as well. And that Man City game getting cancelled, it was all quite disruptive, really. But do you think there's anything we can take from those games, and including the game on Sunday as well, the Community Shield, where it's made you a bit optimistic for the season?
I think one of the big things that everyone's talking about, we've already mentioned it tonight, is Tony Valencia. You know, you go back even a few months, I think everyone would give up on Tony Valencia, myself included, if I'm honest. I think,
me too.
You know, he was a figure of frustration. He seems to have lost a lot of confidence. Now and again, you'd see signs of the old 2009, 2010 Tony V, and then he'd revert back to the sort of the one who seemed lost and didn't seem willing, didn't seem up for it, didn't seem want to connect with his teammates or anything. And now he's looking, dare I say it, back to his best. And he seems to have fitted in at right back, because he is a winger. He's a natural winger who's being forced to play at right back. And it always looked like a bit of a bad fit to me. And now this pre-season, he's looking more like a right back and more like a natural one. And with him and Shaw, if he can maintain that form, it is a mouth-watering prospect. I am erring on the side of caution, because this time last season, Darmian looks like he was the answer to our right back problems, even going into sort of the first few weeks of the season. So you never know, but the difference is Darmian and Valencia. Valencia's been around United a lot longer. We know what he can do. So that's been a big plus for me. Other than that, it's difficult not to get too carried away, because we've seen it in pre-seasons before. Van Gaal's first pre-season where we beat everyone. 3-5-2 was the answer. Darren Fletcher's back to his best. I was hearing all sorts. You know, and you look back now and you think that was bonkers. Tyler Blackett's going to be a regular forever. And it was just, you know, within a few months the wheels had come off. Well, against Swansea the wheels came off on the opening day. So you can't look too much into it. But it is positive, as Howson's already mentioned. Ibrahimovic has, you know, started scoring amazing goals already. You can't fault that. It's great to see Jesse Lingard getting his chance again and proving his doubters wrong. So there's a lot of positive signs, and there's still some worries. Rooney doesn't look at the races yet.
Leader at centre half, I think, is the big one.
Yeah, another one that Bailly looks great as well. That's another big plus. So there's a lot of positives, but the real test is the Premier League. We've been here before, you know, where we've had great pre-seasons or we've had signs from players in pre-season. You know, I remember Oberson having a great pre-season. It doesn't mean anything. Once the season starts, then we'll really see. But you can't help but be excited from what we've seen so far.
Who's impressed you and disappointed you most out United squad in pre-season?
There's not been enough really of pre-season to really quantify that. I
think that's a massive worry then going into the Premier League season.
I don't like taking anything out of pre-season games, because maybe we look so good against Real Madrid and Barcelona under Louis van Gaal because that was all we did that day. I know for a fact that sometimes in pre-season they would have had 2-hour training session, might have even been fitness, so they're going in pre-fatigued to see how they react. So sometimes you don't know what the goal of the pre-season match is. We don't know what the goal is. We see the end result on TV and we go, that was 1-1, that was rubbish. But you don't know what the goal was. The goal might have been that they achieve 60% possession, that they achieve a 10-second turnover to a shot. You don't know what the goal of the game was. That they was win the game. It's not necessarily play well and win the match. The goal of it's a training session with fans that are there, right? So you don't know what the goal of that training session is. And that's what I think people like to take out of pre-season when perhaps they shouldn't take that out of pre-season. The proof is definitely in the pudding. The proof will be, I think the Charity Shield was more realistic about it, and what I liked in pre-season Charity Shield wise, when we conceded, I didn't panic and I was like, we're going to win this game. And I didn't feel at any point we wasn't going to win the game, despite having a midfield 3 of Rooney, Fellaini and Carrick, which I thought was being carried by the periphery of the team. I think we're going to see a Bournemouth team do what they did to us last season, try and hit us on a break, really sit deep. But then as the season starts to develop and as players start getting it back into the swing of match rhythm, the new signings get the chemistry that we were hoping for. I think Manchester United are going to rise to the top, and I think whoever beats us is going to be taking the title at the end of the season. There's loads of positives, and again, there's always negatives. Like people said I was negative after my review of the Charity Shield. I wasn't negative. I'm looking for reasons to be excited, but I'm also looking at reasons to be realistic about what we've seen, and you couldn't say there was excellent passages of play in the Charity Shield. There was times where it looked massively disjointed. Mkhitaryan's one that I think we've got to really focus on. The goals and assists that he provided to Dortmund last season, huge. If he provides 80% of what he did at Dortmund this season, you're going to be looking at 17, 18 goals, 17, 18 assists.
That's a big if, though, I'd say.
Of course it's a big if.
League.
And
you know what I mean?
There's no way Zlatan's going to score 38 goals in 29 games. But you're hoping that's what Mourinho has directly addressed by bringing those players in. Pogba's going to be huge, goes without saying. I still see key areas that need addressing, but I think we're being greedy. You can't fix it all in one window. This isn't a video game. This is real life. You cannot fix it all in one window, but we have took a massive step towards being...
We've tried our best,
Of course we have, but we've took a massive step towards being the near finished article. You never get to be the finished article because football, everything evolves too much, but we've took a massive step towards being very, very competitive.
If he's going to play 4-2-3-1, I keep on wondering who's going to play alongside Pogba in that second central midfield. I mean, I know there's a few players at United, don't get me wrong. Carrick, Sneijderlin, he's tried Herrera there, but because I can never quite come up with one, I wonder if that's going to be an issue. I'm not saying it's going to be a massive one, I'm not saying it's going to kill any chances, but I don't know if that's going to be a problem. But yeah, I mean, Mkhitaryan, again, it was only Wigan, but I went to that game and he only played 45 minutes, but what I liked about him was he was always looking to create and looking forward, and he just looked easily, and you probably expect it, maybe easily the best player on the park. He was obviously the Bundesliga player of the year for the season just gone, like De Bruyne was before he came to City. You don't become that really if you're not half decent. Gundogan, who signed for City, said to us actually that he'd struggled, Mkhitaryan, in his first 2 seasons at Dortmund with confidence a little bit. He needed geeing up, but so I wonder whether that'll be an issue. Probably not, considering he's now the Armenia captain. He's the Bundesliga player of the season, like I say. He looks a really good player. And Eric Bailey, he supposedly, I think Mourinho wants to start him. He's wondering whether he can be a first choice from the start, but he's not too sure whether he's going to, not buckle, but maybe, need some time. But he looks because you needed a central defender. You're right about a sort of lead. You don't think Smalling then can do that sort of...
I thought Ashley Williams was a fantastic shout.
Yeah.
I think Everton have got him for a steal.
Yeah.
And if it's not Ashley Williams, I'm looking at Bonucci. I want a 30-year-old.
Yeah.
I want a 30-year-old man in
centre mid. You don't think Smalling's that then? I mean, I know he's like 30, but
not just yet. No, I don't think he's... there was at times last season he was in world-class form, but he's not a world-class player. He played excellent, but then I don't see him influencing the rest of the team. I don't see him threatening to kill people on the pitch if they make a mistake, like Roy Keane. That's the leaders I grew up with. Yeah. Robbo and Keano. Robbo would headbutt a wall and show you how it's done. Keano would tell you he's going to put you through the wall. And I don't see that from Smalling. And you look at the team that we've got now, and you compare that to the great Manchester United sides that had 6 or 7 leaders in the team. That you think, well, if he's not the captain, he could be. I mean, look at Vidic, Rio, Scholes, Giggs, Evra, there's all captains. And you look at the moment, you go, Rooney, who people have got question marks over, and you go, Smalling?
There's a shout that Ibrahimovic could be the backup captain as well for this season.
Yeah, and I don't like giving new signings the captaincy. I agree with what Real Madrid do. It's the next longest serving guy, but, I mean, Carrick, great leader, maybe a great professional. He's not going to put you through a wall, is he?
Exactly.
Where's the fear?
Yeah.
Have you heard the story about Dwight York's first day at training? Right, Dwight York walks onto the training ground, and you can imagine Dwight York, the happiest man in the world, isn't he? Living everyone's dream. We all know the on and off pitch stuff. But Dwight York walks into the training ground, and I can see him beaming, smile, probably shaking hands with people. Roy Keane says nothing to him, blasts a ball at him from this far away, gets in his face and goes, Cantona would have controlled that. You're like, okay, that's how it's going to be. Roy Keane set the standard. Now, the guy might be a psychopath. Very realistically might be a psychopath, but there's a standard and an expectation that you don't drop below. Can you see Smalling doing that? Can you see Rooney doing that? No, and if you can't see him doing that, then you don't deserve the armband.
Possibly. I mean, we've not had a Roy kicking left. We've not had anyone up to that standard, I don't think, to be honest with you. And Rooney as captain's had question marks, and I know what you mean about Carrick. He's like Carrick and some of his football, but it annoys me when Rooney's not playing. And decisions don't go our way, or someone goes in with a hard tackle or a dirty challenge on one of our players, and Carrick and whoever don't get involved, they don't, you know what I mean?
Probably one of the
most
most insightful things David Moyes ever came up with was that he said to Rooney, I think you've lost a bit of your edge, and I think he has. Remember, you've got to be on that cusp.
It's not a red card for about 5 years, hasn't it?
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, I think you need a bit of that, don't you? And with Rooney, he's become a little bit too controlled of his own.
It's funny, isn't it, though?
What's your endearing memory of Roy Keane? Yeah. It's going through Alfred and Haaland, didn't it, and getting a red card. Do you think any fans was like, what's he done there? That was stupid. Or did they go, yes? Of course he did. He loved it.
It's weird, isn't it, about Rooney? Because people used to criticise him for having too much anger and stuff like that, and it's almost now got...
Look at our greatest players. They always get sent off. From Dennis Law,
exactly.
They all get sent off. Robbo took some red cards. Whiteside would take you out. Cantona would take you out, stamp all over you, and then go and lever someone in the crowd. You need that boiling point. You've got to... where's the intimidation factor? And that was what I wanted to talk about with you in a bit, but we'll get onto that later, the intimidation.
Well, let's see if any of you guys have got any players with the intimidation factor in your team then, because I'm going to go through everyone's starting 11 now, everyone who's sat here, and then after that, we're going to get in the comments as well on YouTube and read out some of your starting 11s and players that you definitely want to see in the team, and players you definitely want to leave out. So, Alison, I'll start with you. What would you say your starting 11 is going into, or going into it as a whole? What would you say our best 11 is now?
I think the team. I think and I hope the team's going to evolve into a 4-3-3, and the guy that's going to suffer from that is Wayne Rooney, and I don't care. And what I want to see from that is I'm feeling Valencia at the moment the way he started the season, so he's getting the shirt. I'm not even going to talk about the goalkeeper; it's irrelevant. We all know, don't we? Luke Shaw, new signing, awesome left back. He was our best outfield player last season up to the injury. I think he'll have a big say in what happens this year. Centre half, this is where I worry, because you can't build a championship winning team on a weak defensive partnership. I like the intelligence of Daley Blind, and I like the physicality that Bay is showing. And that might be a really nice blend. That might be like a good cop and bad cop sort of situation. I think Smalling, once he's back, will probably start ahead of Bay, and you probably see Blind and Smalling again. And considering they was one of the best defences in the league last year, maybe there's a shout to start them, but I still feel that they lack that intimidation and leadership and all the things that we just spoke about a second ago. That's the worry. It's the centre half bit that's the worry. Fullbacks, keeper, sorted. Ahead of that, if I want to go 4-3-3, Morgan Schneiderlin has got to sit there. Massively underrated, hugely underrated. The stats from the games that he played in last season, our percentage of wins was like 80%. The games that he didn't play in, the wins was 20%. Yeah. What does that tell you?
Yeah.
That tells you everything you need to know. And he can do the absolute cold-faced dirty work. I don't want to see him attacking. I don't want to see him playing forward balls. He needs to play a 3-yard pass to Pogba, who will then deliver it up the pitch. The question mark is who plays alongside Pogba in the advance role. And I think Herrera, when played as a 2, is a little bit lightweight. He doesn't really cut about the pitch in a defensive aspect enough. But I think if you played him as part of a midfield 3, you've got Schneiderlin behind him, and you've got someone the size of Pogba and the ability of Pogba alongside him. And the tempo and the energy that you're going to get from Herrera, I really like. And what that also does is it frees up the space where the number 10 is, because Zlatan comes back into the number 10 area a lot. And I noticed in the recent games, Rooney and Zlatan have sort of been bumping into each other a little bit because they're occupying the same space. So let's get rid of Rooney. Let's go with 2 in the middle that are going to dominate the opposition's midfield from attack and defence point of view. And then on the wings, you've got to play Mkhitaryan for me at the moment on the wing. You've got to play Marshall at the moment, but you've also got options in Rashford and Memphis and others, in all honesty, as well. You have got options from there. And then you've got to play Zlatan as a number 9. Zlatan's going to come back from the forward line. He's going to come out of the D, which will and should allow the likes of Marshall to be jumping in behind him. If you play Rashford on the right-hand side or Mkhitaryan on the right-hand side, they're going to get behind the defence. Pogba's going to be shooting from deep, which is going to draw defenders out, which might leave space for Zlatan. You're getting overlaps from the full-backs, who I'm sure are just going to be giving instructions to ping balls in. Zlatan will get a toe on him, 8 foot in the air. And I think that Manchester United is a very complete side. The literal thing that really bothers me at the moment is that there's that lack of a real world-class centre-half, that leader. If we had a real world-class centre-half leader, I think we were going to win the World Cup this year.
Jamie, who do you want to see start for Man United then this year?
My defence is completely different apart from Shaw, so I'd have Darwin at right back. I still rate him as a really good player.
I think he needs another shot.
I think, he was the Italy World Cup right back in 2014. I know that's 2 years ago. I just think he suffered. Basically, every player Van Gaal signed, he then dropped, or he criticised, and he was suffered from that. And my central defence, I know you're going to laugh because he's never fit, but if...
Oh, it's not Phil, is it?
It is, yeah.
It's Phil.
Jones and Smalling. And then
Are you honestly playing Phil Jones?
Yeah, 4-2, yeah, because he
Let him explain. Let him explain.
I'll give you 2 words. Real Madrid.
Oh, come on.
Away.
Was he playing as an holding midfielder?
Yeah, he was in midfield, though.
Yeah, but he led the team. He was like, for me, the best player. So
Seen Peter Crouch get man of the match.
that's the defence. And then I'm 4-2-3-1. So that central midfield thing alongside Pogba, I go Carrick, possibly Sneijderlin. I'm not so sure, but listening to you, maybe again he suffered under Van Gaal because he was a signing. And then the front three or the attacking three, Mkhitaryan, Rooney. Still rate Rooney in that position. I think it's natural for him. I think he'll have a bit to prove this season, and I think he's a bit better. I mean, 245 goals for United says something, yeah. And listen, I'm not a United fan, so it's your business. But I think there's a little bit of a...
Well, Bobby Charlton's got 249. Where's he playing?
A little bit of an over-exaggerated prejudice against Rooney because he's weighing Rooney for whatever reason. As I say, that's your business, but I don't get any of that as a neutral. And then Martial on the left, I think he's arguably still the best player at United. And then Ibrahimovic up top. But the thing with Ibrahimovic, let's just see how he's doing October, November.
Yeah.
Not because he isn't good enough, of course he is, but let's just see, he's going to be 35. Okay, he's going to catch up with some time. Maybe it won't be this season, but then you've got Rashford who looks pretty decent, doesn't he? So that's my side.
Do you think Zlatan's an old 35 though?
No, I don't actually. Considering he's a big bloke as well, he's a young. He's like a proper.
He looks in ridiculous shape, doesn't he?
Yeah, and that's
he's
probably
like a
why
roided up Berbatov, isn't he?
Yeah,
we are going to get in your comments in a sec, but first we'll go to JJ. What's your United 11?
I think my back 4 is very similar to Howson's. It'd be Shaw on the left. From what I've seen so far, if he can keep his pre-season form, I think Tony Valencia's probably done enough, and I never thought I'd say that, but I think he's done enough.
You know what about Tony Valencia? I'll just say there were so many goals that were conceded during the Moyes and even the first season of Van Gaal era, where his positioning was the thing that was letting him down, and it seems to be that he's actually managed to fix that about his game, and that's a very hard thing to fix as a footballer, isn't it?
It was always the sort of, I remember, I think it was against City, the first goal was his fault. It always seems to be his mistake that sort of let open the floodgates or cost us the game.
The thing is a winger playing right back.
That's what I was saying earlier.
He fills in a job. We're looking at the attacking aspect really and going, sweet.
Blame him too much for that. I think the strange thing was, I remember him playing it right back against Chelsea years ago. He looked tailor-made for it. And then he played a few games there, looked all right, and then went backwards. And that's the sort of the frustrating thing with Tony Valencia. He seems to go back and forth a little bit. But for the time being, I'd give him a shot at right back.
How happy is he when he gets the captain's armband? How can you not love a guy?
Any smile from Tony Valencia.
How can you find a captain's armband to fit the guy?
Yeah,
do it. Bloody hell!
I know them arms. He's got arms like you. And
well, I'm getting there, aren't I?
I can't say anything. I don't know what I'm saying that for. At centre back, I'd go with Blind and Baye. I think I like that partnership. I like Blind's composure. I like the way he sort of reads the game really well. I know what we've been saying about Smalling. I just think, I don't know, towards the end of last season, he made a few mistakes that were very Chris Smalling-esque, own goals and stuff like that were avoidable. And I just think he switches off a little bit too much. And I don't know, because I'd like to see Baye start, and I don't know if I'd play him alongside Smalling, because I think you need a bit more composure, and I think Blint offers that. And I think, looking at last season, was it 53 games he played? And he was playing week after week. Even when he was knackered, he was getting thrown in. You could see it. I remember us talking outside Old Trafford when he'd been thrown in again and again. I think against Liverpool. So I'd start them too. And I think, although it's like a 4-2-3-1, it's almost like a 4-1-4-1. Because I think I'd have Carrick as the holding midfielder. And I think you'd have Pogba almost alongside him, but a bit more box to box. So it's not quite a 4-2-3-1. It's almost like a 4-1-4-1, if that makes sense. Because I think Pogba's going to be getting up and down, and I wouldn't like to just see him sat in front of the defence. You want to see him doing his the stuff he can do at the business end of the pitch as well. So it'd be more like that sort of style. If it was up to me, I'd start with Martial, and I'd start with Martial on the left, and I'd probably start with Rashford on the right. I would, and I know that you got Mkhitaryan, and everyone's like, he's Bundesliga player of the year, Armenian captain, all the rest of it. But I think he's got I just love Rashford. I do, and I'm struggling to get past that. And I think I loved Kagawa, but he wasn't always a starter. So you've got to earn that right to get in that team. And I think Rashford's done enough for me just to keep his place.
Imagine Kagawa as number 10 in this team.
This is it. I'm with Jamie a little bit as well. I think Rooney will start. I think there is a bit of a thing about Rooney. We all know it.
He's from Liverpool, Barry.
It's not just that. Come on, there's more to it than that.
You know,
there's contracts and stuff. There's that sort of stuff.
Sure,
you know, we can't ignore all that.
Sure.
But I think Rooney's going to be in there, and then I think it'll be Zlatan until, you know, his legs say otherwise. But I think you made a point about what sort of age is he? What sort of a player is he for that age? Yeah. And he's obviously looks after himself, and he's had another one who's had a great pre-season. And just his presence on the pitch, he's one of those players who gets the crowd excited. Yeah. Other players are in awe of him. His teammates buzz off him.
Defenders fancy marking him.
Defenders are scared of him.
Yeah.
We've not had that for a little while, have we? That sort of. Yeah. It's almost like the Berbatov swagger, but a bit of a better player. Do you know what I mean? I don't mean that in any disrespect to Berbatov.
If you're an opposition centre half though, and you've had Zlatan Ibrahimovic, because what I really enjoyed, there was one thing that I seen. I don't know if it was caught on camera or not. It was just something I saw. There was a ball went up, and he just forearmed Wes Morgan in the back of the head, and I was like, I like that. I like that. And I think if you've had Zlatan forearming you in the back of the head for 70 minutes,
and in your ear as well,
yeah, and I'm sure he's chatting all sorts of shit.
I think it's safe to say, innit, and I hope you don't mind me saying this, guys watching at home, but we've got a team full of bastards, and it's great again.
No, we need a few more, but we're getting.
We need more bastards.
If you've had Ibrahimovic doing that to you for 70 minutes, and he's run you ragged from a physical point of view, because he gets on anything that comes in that box. It's ultra physical. And then they bring Rashford on, who's a different threat, who's now a pacey threat, who's going to come in behind you. Then that's a nightmare, and that's a fantastic game-changing option. It's like a hybrid of Tevez and Chicharito, the way you can come on and score goals, but also affect the tempo of the game through sheer determination. That's why I would like, if he's not going out on loan to get 38 games playing for a lower-level Premier League team or a top-half Championship team, Marcus Rashford, 20 minutes every single week after Zlatan.
You'd entertain him going on loan?
Yes. I would entertain him going on loan to increase his development.
Right.
If he's not going to play here, what's the point? But if he's been told he's going to play here...
Alison, I think we know Marcus Rashford's going to play.
Oh, and one more point as well.
Go on,
Jesse Lingard, how can you allow Wayne Rooney to pull a shirt on ahead of Jesse Lingard in form at the moment? If he's going to play Mkhitaryan, then I think you move one of those back inside ahead of Rooney, but we all know
they'll get games.
Rooney will probably play.
I think we've got a good squad that'll get games. Right, Alison, what are people in the comments saying about our starting 11 then?
There's a lot of people agreeing with us actually. People saying Mata, where would Mata be?
It's a good point.
And I think we've got options. We've got the depth of a squad, which I think is a good basis. People are saying, lost it. That was a great one. Someone saying it again. Rashford, striker. Will we play two up front? Do you think? Is there any option for two up front? Will we change our formation? Who's going to partner Pogba? As we've all said, it's the questions that we've been seeing, isn't it? So there's some fantastic comments. If you've got some comments, throw them in now, and I'll try and find a decent question for everybody. Everyone's pretty much putting their team in. Oh, here we go. Question.
Who's question?
Do you think we would have made the same signings as Jamie Vardy?
Oh, well, I can't imagine Jamie Vardy.
We would have made the same signings if LVG was still in charge.
No,
not a chance.
Do you want to phone a friend, or are you confident?
We're going to talk about signings now anyway. Guys, don't forget to tweet us at FullTimeDEVILS.
Timothy Fosu-Mensah has been dragged up a lot. Signed a 5-year contract supposedly today.
Another shout. Guys, don't forget to get in the tweets at FullTimeDEVILS, and the best tweets will come up on screen. So, guys, it is time to talk about transfers. Do you think that, as Jose Mourinho has said, do you believe him when he says that this is the end of our transfer business, this window, in terms of players coming in?
Yes, I do. Yes. I think those were his targets that he wanted, and I think we got him. We got the business done early. I'm one of those fans. I'm not overly concerned about prices. I'll be honest with you. I know there's a lot of people that get upset and get their nose bent out of joint about the prices we pay, and I can't believe I'm not bothered.
The reason you can afford all that money is because you're really successful clubs.
Exactly.
And what's that?
You know, we've heard. I remember hearing this about. You talk about Roy Keane. I remember hearing we were paid too much for it.
3.2 million.
Exactly.
Broke the British transfer record. The world has gone insane.
You know, I don't bother about that. We needed a world-class midfielder. We needed someone who was like a superstar. We got him. We needed a striker that was like a talisman that had a real presence. We got him. We needed a young defender who's played at the top level. We got him. We needed a creative midfielder who, you know, could create things, obviously, and, you know, score goals and get assists, and, you know, had been proven again at a high level. We got him, so I'm not really bothered. And the fact is, we got him in early, so that, you know, apart from Pogba, they've all had a pretty decent pre-season with us, which is important. And going back to, we mentioned it before, you know, we had imposters trying to sign Ander Herrera a few years ago.
We
had a half-10 bid for Fabio Alcantara.
That was me and Gaz.
That got it not surprised me. That got laughed at. We spent 2 months trying to get Fabregas, which never happened.
Yeah.
You know, Thiago was apparently in a hotel down the road, and it was just nonsense, constant nonsense. And you look at that, and then you look at this. It was like a circus. It was a circus, and it was horrible because it's the club I love just getting absolutely ridiculed.
Well, there was leaks left, right, and centre as well. You could literally walk to your postman. Your postman would tell you exactly what's happening.
There was.
You know, there was the hospital down the road used to leak everything. So I mean, it was fantastic. We knew everything. Now
business is done. It's there. It's happening.
To answer your question, I think if a Gareth Bale becomes available, they'll say yes. But so they always say if you get something special, then.
Do you think that there's any chance of a player that could come in to strengthen other areas of the squad? I mean, like you said before, and I'm sure a lot of fans would agree with you that we could do with a bit of experience in the centre back position.
I think all our first choice business is done, but there's the Hervin Lozano chap over in Mexico that's playing at the Olympics. The president of Pachuca come out and said, yeah, he's probably going to move after the Olympics, so I'm sure that's been parked until after the Olympics.
Tell me about him then. Where does he play?
He's a little bit like Marshall. He can play left, right, or down the middle. I haven't seen a lot of him.
No.
He looks all right. It's the same as the Gabriel Jesus one with City, but we're not pulling a parade out for the guy. You know, he looks all right. What can you really say about a player you may have seen 2-3 times and watched a load of YouTube videos on? Looks all right, but anyone can look all right depending on the league that they're playing in and stuff like that. And for what City have paid for Gabriel Jesus, what we paid for Henrik Mkhitaryan, I know what I'd rather have. I don't think you're going to see anything like... I mean, we signed a 17-year-old goalkeeper today that I'm not even going to try and pronounce his name, but it doesn't matter.
It's interesting on the goalkeeper one, because that's no longer an issue about the guy. He nearly went, didn't he?
Yeah.
So even
I think he had gone in his head.
How packed do you reckon he was?
Yeah, exactly.
How packed do you reckon his suitcases was?
Exactly, yeah,
Because he was like, we're just going to fax this over, son, and then you'll be gone. And he was like, sweet, he's got his little roller trolley there, getting ready. They're like, fax machine's knackered. And he's like, okay.
Definitely.
How close can you? I mean, I don't know if there was gamesmanship from our side of you.
I think so.
I hope there was gamesmanship from my side of you, and if there was, fantastic. Real Madrid must fucking hate us at the moment. The way we've gone on, we took the guy off them, we've took Pogba off them.
But don't forget, Perez always wins. Jamie, so tell me, do you think this is the end of United's transfer business in terms of arrivals? It's been all right, hasn't it? To be fair.
I mean, it's an interesting one about Ashley Williams, what Stephen said there about the central defender, because he looked like, he's just had a crack in Euros and captain of Wales, all the rest of it, and he would have fitted that bill completely. So that's the only one I wonder whether. But I think he's going to say what he's going to say publicly all the time. He's going to be consistent, but he did say all along 4 players, and you'd have to say United.
He said 4 positions.
Yeah, well, 4 profiles. Yeah.
So he could sign another centre half theoretically.
But you have to say United have had the best transfer window of any team in the Premier League for ever, or recent time. I can't remember a better one. I mean, there might be one, but recent memory, right?
It's one of the ones where during the transfer window, like before the season started, we can look back and say it's been a phenomenal transfer window. But as always, you can't judge it fully until the season's actually ended, can you?
I got a question here. Howson, have you seen anyone in the youth teams who can come in and be a bastard in the team? Yes, I have. There's a couple of lads that we've got in the academy. Tyrell Warren and Roshan Williams, both local lads and both hard as nails and both absolutely twisted. Both 17, they're both in the under-23 squad this season, both been promoted, but those two are 2 to watch out. In the under-18s derby last year, Tyrell Warren would have gone through everyone, including his gran, to win the ball, and phenomenal. There's 2 real leaders there, and I think they're probably behind Tuan Zebe in terms of like the queue to get a first-team debut, but if and when those 2 make it, you're in for an absolute treat. Completely different players, but both completely bonkers. Love it.
Can you see any players leaving then, as of now?
I definitely can.
I reckon. I know you're one player you're going to say, and I bet it's the man that Jamie put in his team.
Yeah.
Is it the man that Jamie put in his team?
Do I think Juan Mata's going to leave? Yeah, I do, if I'm honest.
What makes you say that?
Yeah, I just, I don't know, it's a strange feeling about it. Yeah, obviously the reasons are pretty, clear cut. He's already sold him once. He sold him when he was arguably a much more important player for the team he was at than he is for us now. We saw what went on at Wembley. You can make your own decisions about that. I think that Mata is a player that, he is a world-class player and he deserves to start for a team, and I don't think he's going to get a start under Mourinho at United, and I think it'll suit him and United if he moves on.
Honestly, I think Juan Mata's going to stay.
Fair. I don't think anyone would be too disappointed if he did because he's very popular, isn't he? He's a popular player amongst the fans, but I just don't see him.
I think that we definitely should be keeping him. There's stuff on Sunday. I honestly believe what Mourinho said. I think that it was for tactical reasons, and I know that it was, and he sort of apologised for it, didn't he? In his speech.
I know, but just think with 6 subs as well, you don't really need to be doing that. I think it's a bit naive at best to be having the necessity to sub one of your own subs.
Was it like it was injury time?
Yeah, and it's he must have known what would happen when he did that. He's not that, he's not like a new manager.
To criticise, not to criticise, sorry, but to question whether Mourinho was thinking of getting rid of him when he did that. You've also got to think, he brought him off when he was 2-0, but he brought him on when it was 1-1.
I don't think. I think the idea behind that for me was that he's not bothered about the way it looks and upsetting him because he's going. That was the way I see it. I don't think he did it to spite him. I just think it's one of them.
I think you're looking at the wrong places. I think you're looking at the players who haven't featured. And you're looking at Schweinsteiger, you're looking at Ashley Young, you're looking at Phil Jones, you're looking at... I thought Fellaini was possibly one what he's playing. So, I don't know. I think you're looking at the likes of Jones, Schweinsteiger...
He's been told, I think, Fellaini's going to stay.
I think he'll stay. I think Mourinho likes him. I've always said that. I think he rated him when he wasn't at United.
Again... Maybe it's just neutral, heading clouds, but I think what harm can Fellaini do being in your squad?
Oh.
Well, do you know what? I think
he's going wrong.
He's a weapon, all right.
Well, the thing is with Fellaini is it's fine if you're bringing him on as like a plan X, if you were to say, I won't say plan B, but playing behind the striker as a number 10. I don't think Mourinho would be the type to play him in midfield. Oh, no. And on Sunday he started in midfield.
Mourinho
player?
No.
Do you not think so?
No.
Like an
Matic. In the kind of
elbows.
No, because you're thinking Drogba was a physical presence, but Drogba was a footballer. That's the difference.
I'm with you, Jamie. I think Mourinho rates him. I've said it all along. I'm not going to change mine now.
Player who's kind of similar to him in the Premier League, and so therefore, if he's a one-off,
just because he's unique, don't make him right.
But he gives you a different option.
Harold Shipman was unique amongst doctors.
Teams don't like facing. You can talk over me all you like, but Fellaini is a useful. I don't think he's harming your squad.
I think he's
got too many. You've got loads of players like Mata, Herrera. You've got loads of those sort of players. The thing is, people forget. Fellaini is like something different.
Those 6 games under Van Gaal that saved our season when we made 4th place. Fellaini came in and did a job, and people forget that. And he's become a figure of hate. Everyone, you go on social media, and he's the reason for all our failures. And it's not true. It's not as bad as everyone goes on about. And the whole thing on the Charity Shield, you knew when he did that back pass and it led to the goal that Twitter would erupt in a sea of incredulity, and it did. And it's just like he's not as bad as everyone goes on.
Talk about players who may or may not be on the way out.
That's a very good point.
Because he was a darling of the fans, right? And what? He's sort of last chance saloon if he's not already gone.
I think that's already.
Do you think that's fair enough?
Exactly what's happened with
Januzaj. Are you happy with that? With what's happened to him?
Januzaj under Moyes, supposedly, his team talk was, "You go and enjoy yourself, son. Right, lads, here's how we're going to play." And that was the team talk. He gave Januzaj the instructions to go and just enjoy himself, and then he gave tactical instructions to everybody else. Then under Louis van Gaal was like, "Right, here's the tactical instructions," and Januzaj didn't get it. And I think what people are forgetting is Mourinho and Van Gaal are not that far apart in terms of preparation, in terms of defensive organisation. They might be different in the final third. I actually think Mourinho, Pep Guardiola and Van Gaal are not that different in a lot of aspects. And I think the preparation and defensive duties that you're probably going to be getting from Mourinho are quite similar to what you'd be getting under Van Gaal in terms of the preparation and depth. So if he didn't get it under Mourinho, I think if he didn't get it under Van Gaal, he's probably not going to get it under Mourinho.
Did he get a chance under Van Gaal? I'm just interested in what you think about him as a player.
I think he's had his chances.
Well, he scored, didn't he, against Villa and was gone.
Yeah, honestly.
So we spoke about players going in. We've had a little chat about players going out. How would you rate this window as a whole so far, Jay?
It's pretty boring. Not happy. We need to start spending some money.
Would you say it's the perfect window though?
I don't think you can ever have a perfect window. We've sat here for 45 minutes discussing players that players that I never even thought of. I never in a million years would have said Ashley Williams, and there's a name that's been bandied about. So you're always going to get people that think we need that player. But from what I think we needed, I think it's as near to perfect as it could have been. I think the main areas, like I said before, that the world-class midfield, the rest of it, have been addressed. And I'm happy as well because we've not gone OTT because there's still a lot of youngsters like Timothy Phil for 2 months, other players as well, like Rashford, that I want to see be given a chance. And I think there's still going to be given the places for him to do that. So I think it's as good as it could get.
Make sure you get in your YouTube comments, by the way, guys. I'm going to come to you in a sec. What they say?
I'll go to Jamie with this one first. If someone was to get injured, not hindered, who would we miss the most? I think I know.
So that's a really good question. De Gea?
Yeah, that's who I'd have probably gone
I
with.
would have gone with that.
I think
As soon as you said that,
got to think about how
Okay,
back.
let's rephrase that.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah.
Outfield player. Then.
Outfield
Yeah.
player.
Alright, yeah.
Who would we miss the most?
I think that you got to look at, you know, it's
It's a good
tempting.
question,
It's
actually.
tempting to say Pogba, but then you've got Herrera's back up to him, who's quite decent himself. So
I think Pogba's going to be
Martial,
very reliant this
maybe?
year. I
Martial?
think Zlatan could be.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Howson,
there's a lot to go on.
How would
Rashford's
you rate this
shoulders.
window out of 10 then? Would you say it's 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10?
Have you ever been hungover and someone's brought you a McFlurry?
Oh.
Right? That's how I would rate this transfer.
That's how it feels, isn't it? Exactly how it feels. What would you say for Man United then, Jamie?
Well, can you give it in the form of have you ever been hungover? Can you give it like that answer?
It would have been perfect if you'd signed Donald Trump as director of football, because then you'd have Mourinho, Ibrahimovic and Donald Trump all at your club, and from a reporting point of view, it'd be absolutely perfect. So you just failed a little bit there, not getting Trump in.
I think
But apart from that, it's been pretty decent. But as I said earlier, I think it's the best window I can remember of any Premier League club. There may have been a better one. I don't know. Can you come up with any? But
Nope.
It's got to be your best one, hasn't it?
Yeah.
I think it's United's best window.
I mean, 08, 07, 08 was good
ridiculous business
in
for a
terms of
window.
how fast we got everything done, and obviously
Yeah.
went on to win the Champions League that season. But in terms of the position of the club,
Yeah,
Europa
yeah,
League,
yeah, exactly,
the disappointment of the last 3 years.
Mourinho was a sort of a window signing as well. If you
Exactly,
like.
yeah, exactly.
You count him as well as them players. It's been pretty amazing.
Hashtag Trump in, essentially. So, Howson, get in the comments. What are people saying?
People saying we would
dissociate
miss
myself from this.
Luke Shaw. People are saying Luke Shaw would probably be the one that we miss. People
Yeah.
are saying, do you think we'll dominate the league? I don't think we dominate the league at the moment.
No one will dominate the league,
People
but
are
it's
saying,
impossible
yep,
to
Donald
dominate.
Trump. What did you do? 11 out of 10 for this window from Sol.
You've
United
opened
will
up the
win league.
floodgates, which is quite ironic when you're talking about Donald Trump, really. But
Are we going to buy Paddy McNair for 90 million? Trump train, hashtag Trump train.
right, it's gone into anarchy. We're going to move on. We're not going to talk about Donald Trump. We're going to talk about the future. We're going to talk about what these guys think are going to happen over the course of this season. Make sure you're getting in your tweets as well at FullTimeDEVILS. All the best ones are going on the screen, and keep your YouTube comments coming in as well, because we're going to keep checking up on them. So, guys, I want to ask you this. We've signed some great players. We have some great players already in the team, but who do you think, if you can make a prediction now, is going to be the main man in this squad next season, Jay?
I think it might evolve. I think early doors. I think
I
Ibrahimovic.
I think it's that man behind you.
Ibrahimovic. I think it's going to be.
Hesse Lingard.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. I think Ibrahimovic, but I don't know how long he can go for the season because of his age. So I think we may see some like Pogba rise to the occasion. But I think for the first few months, I think it's going to be the Zlatan show.
I think so. What are you saying, Nelson?
I think Pogba's going to be huge.
Yeah.
I really think Pogba's going to be huge. And it almost seems like cheating to say I think Pogba's going to have a great season. Really? We didn't pay 90 million for him, to have
exactly.
anything other than a great season, did we? But I genuinely think, I mean, I've watched a lot of different stuff in terms of like sequence of play of what Pogba does in terms of bringing it out of defence and starting off attacks. I got chubbed up, mate. He's going to be massive for us this season. Yeah, he's fantastic, yeah.
Jamie, who do you think is going to be the United main man?
Yeah.
I know it's hard to predict, isn't it? Because in 3 months we can all make these predictions and we could be looking back laughing at each other. But
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to say Martial, just because, as I say, I think he's the best footballer still at your club. But I'm interested about Pogba because you think he's going to take to it like that. Then I'm not saying he won't, because but what I'm really actually saying is for all that money, he better take it straight away. Do you know what I mean?
I'm
Because
sure the press are going to be on his back Sunday morning, even if he doesn't start. If he starts, he'll be on his back. If he doesn't start, he'll be on his back. If he comes off the bench, he'll be on his back. He has got an £89 million target on his back, hasn't he?
Did he turn up for France in the Euro final? Did he turn up in the Champions League final? Yeah,
He did for me, yeah. I think what people got sucked in as, and I think you get this a lot, people are match of the day watchers, so they'll look at the highlights. The highlights in that final was Sissoko charging through, but if you analyse what Sissoko did, he lost the ball most of the time on those runs. There wasn't a product, there wasn't a shot or an assist or a cross at the end of those runs. Paul Pogba had a near perfect game, and he was clearly following orders, and he was restricted by Deschamps. He had a 94% pass completion, over 90 passes. He was flawless. His positioning was fantastic. Defensively, he stopped most of the things that came down his way. He was underutilised in the position that Deschamps played him in. If you give him more of a free rein, get Sissoko out of the way and say, can you start off those runs, then Pogba's ability with the ball at his feet is another dimension, and I think you get another player. And I think people are far too quick to jump into everything is great or shite and not in the middle somewhere. And I think Pogba's performance in the final was somewhere in the middle of that. I think it was...
But it's the final of the Euros. You can't afford to be in the middle, really.
But I think he was restricted to do a job for the team.
Yeah, I think Deschamps lost the plot in that final. I'm sorry. Bringing on Marshall with minutes to go when you play Giroud is one of the worst decisions in international management I've seen in years.
Aaron, you talk about your main man. I think I agree with Jamie the most. I think it is going to be Anthony Marshall. I think that this season, I mean, obviously last season was his breakthrough. He was phenomenal.
Really good.
He just, every single time he gets
It's just class.
When you think back to some great United players in the past, like, you know, the likes of Ronaldo, and I'm not saying he's as good as Ronaldo, don't get me wrong, but you trust him on the ball. Even prime Wayne Rooney, you trusted him when he had the ball, and I really just can't wait to see him going at fullbacks again.
Yeah. What if Paul Pogba has a second debut like Marshall had his original debut against
that would be phenomenal, but I think Marshall's going to be helped a lot by the Pogba dragging players out of position and Zlatan Ibrahimovic.
I think I'll have a brain aneurysm if he does.
What are people in the comments saying?
People are people are saying Zlatan. People are saying Pogba. People are saying Trump will tear you apart. People are saying that Jamie looks like Jon Snow.
Jon Snow, anything about your beard?
Yeah, apparently I look like Otamendi. Otamendi is not that fat.
You weren't reading that out, were you?
People are saying Memphis might have a good season. There's a lot of people saying Memphis. Well, actually, no, there's not. One guy is saying Memphis a lot.
Well, Memphis would be great for this next bit then, because I want to talk about your surprise player, and I think your man behind you, Jesse Lingard, could be another one as well. Jamie, are there anyone in United squad that you think could be a surprise package for this year that nobody is expecting?
Crumbs, good question. Fosu Mensah, if he gets a chance. I rate him. He looks like quite a big, hard, potentially tough defender, but that's not that exciting, is it? Because he's a defender.
Oh, he's a midfielder.
Don't know. I mean,
I think with him, a lot of people are expecting it now as well. I don't think it would be a surprise if he came in and shot, especially amongst United fans. Everyone loves him and rates him very highly, and I think
it'd be a shock if Angel Gomez got a start.
I'd
be surprised.
There's a spanner in the works.
I'd be surprised if Fosu Mensah was slotted into the first team and kept his place. I'm not expecting that to happen.
Just wonder if there's an injury though, maybe, and he gets in. That's
exactly.
Just because I think of the ones who aren't first choice, maybe he is one of the better.
I think Memphis has got a shout. I think a lot of the play that we had last year was. It was oppressive, so he would receive the ball standing still, and I think under Mourinho, under a counter-attacking side, you're going to see the ball played into channels a little bit more, and I think if you play the ball into channel from Memphis is going to pick it up and he's going to cut inside and he's going to look like a whole different footballer. I think he needs confidence, I think he needs a cuddle after every game, and I think he needs reassurance all the time. I think he's a very insecure footballer, and I don't know if he's going to get that. I think the current form that Marshall's showing, he might get that. In all honesty, he might get the early start. Marshall might be brought out of the spotlight a bit. I think he's got some personal issues with what's going on with his marriage and stuff. That could be really affecting his play. So if maybe Marshall gets pulled out of the spotlight, Memphis might get the opportunity to
needs to make better decisions for me, Memphis Depay. I mean, he had a good run last season. He was number 10 in all the pre-season games, and I think he then started the season... Well, he started the first 6 or 7 games in the first 11. I can't remember exactly which position.
And then
and his decision making was awful. He kept on losing the ball. Or I was surprised just how sort of disappointing he was. I'm using a polite word there.
I think I thought it goes back as well with the confidence as well. There's times when he just looked like he'd given up almost.
I think Luke Shaw's overlapping a lot of the times dragged someone, or at least made him look. And in that split second, he would possibly move on with something. But I think once Shaw got injured, his best mate was gone. He didn't have that overlap generally from the likes of Young or Rojo coming past him. And I think that, in a combination with the struggling with the pace of the Premier League and everything, compounded itself. And then he didn't get the trust of Van Gaal. He would make a silly mistake, but instead of being played for it like a Rooney would be, he was like hooked off.
I can't see Jose Mourinho trusting him, to be honest. I
think he'll give him a go, though. I definitely think he'll get a go.
Maybe through injury. I just don't really see it.
I'll throw another name at you as well, and I class this one as a surprise package, really, because a lot of people were surprised at his performance on Sunday. Eric Bailey. What kind of season do you think he could have?
I think it is. You're right. It is a surprise because I sort of saw him coming in and maybe having to wait. I know it's been pre-season and Smalling's been injured, so that's why he's been playing. But he looks a little bit out there, doesn't he? You know what I mean? There's sort of some of the challenges with especially when he's on his booking. But he looks like he could be the real deal. So I think I'm excited.
Earlier when we talked about him, someone said, or maybe all of you said, that he's quite physical. When I saw him at Wigan and when I've seen him then at the Dortmund game on tour, I'm not saying he isn't strong, but he looks quite a sort of more of an elegant kind of player. Have I got? I don't know. My eyes cheating.
He pushed Jamie Vardy. He shoved Jamie Vardy.
He's not big, but he looked like he was up for a tussle, and he's shoving him, diving in as well.
I thought he put himself about quite a bit.
Yeah, but and there was a couple of tackles that he timed absolutely beautifully. So I think
I do worry about how much he goes to ground.
That's why I like Blint alongside him, because I think there's a bit more composure there, and I think that could be a good combination.
Alison, what are people saying in the comments?
People are asking a lot actually about Fosu Mensah and Pogba as a midfield too. I said on our live earlier that we did that we're not allowed to do that. It's cheating. It's in the Premier League rules. Them two are not allowed to play together. It's just not fair.
Imagine any number 10. Imagine if you're a number 10. I'm not saying, well, Juan Mata himself, but the likes of Juan Mata, and you've got those two going up against each other and holding midfield. Absolutely horrible, wasn't it? Horrible. What are the expectations then for this season? Would you say that it's a success for United to finish second this year?
Only if you're in it come April, May. You know what I mean? It's a second at the last minute.
It's a title challenge.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Do you think that's the case even if it's City that win it?
That's the thing.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. If Leicester win the league and we come second, I'll probably be alright. Man City win the league and we're second. It's not going to be. You're not going to call that a great success. Not unless you're off your dad.
I think it's win the league. That's it. I think it's win the league.
Yeah. I think with the money we've spent, with the players that we've got, with the squad we've got.
Okay, so
he's
here
not
you
going
go.
to get sacked.
If you finish fifth, is it should he, not will he, should he be sacked?
Yeah,
No.
I think he'll be out the door.
I don't think.
I think
Really?
I think he'll probably walk
Really?
himself.
After all these players, he's
But that's even
Well,
worse.
what's the circumstances actually? Because if you get 17 first team critical injuries, which could happen, then maybe there's mitigating circumstances. But I think if you just walked over and we have another season like last season,
you don't know. Finish fifth and win the Europa. We'll be alright.
No, the Europa's not success. Like if Manchester City win the league and we're in Europa, can you imagine? I can't imagine.
I don't think he's going to go.
We got to win the league. It's got to be 21 in May.
Do you think? Right, fair enough.
Well, I suppose
yourself.
I've asked you his second success, his first success, but let's talk about the other competitions then, because won the FA Cup last year. Give that another go, or is it just all about the league this year? I know, but is it all about the league this year now?
It's got to be with the managers in the league. The Premier League has got to be the only focus. Like, let's play us four in the Europa League.
So we've got competition for players now. We've got a squad. We should be able to challenge for more than just the league, because we've actually got, we've been sat here discussing players and you keep naming different combinations, different options other than central defence. You've got loads of options, Mkhitaryan or Rashford or whatever. You know what I mean? There's different positions. There's two players for almost every position, so I don't see why you can't go for more than just the league. I think we should be able to challenge, and especially the youngsters as well. You look at players like Pereira, players that we've not even mentioned.
Riley,
exactly. Jackson. Why they can come in and do a job in the
and
the
they're not being funny as well.
So should we just be going for the league? I think we've got a squad to go for every trophy we're in.
I'm thinking as well. We're obviously going to finish. Obviously, I'm not going to say that. Actually, we should be finishing. We should be finishing top four at least anyway this season. So if we do what you guys say we should do and play the youngsters in the Europa League, then also you've got a load of youngsters there with European experience going into a Champions League season next season. The
nightmare is if you do qualify for the latter stages of Europa. I'm talking like post Christmas, the knockout stages. Then all your games get switched to Sunday, and there's a statistic that nobody has got to the Europa League final and won their league, or it might even be the semi-final and won their domestic league. And I don't know what the mitigating factors for that are, because for me, Sunday Thursday is the same.
Sevilla aren't going to win La Liga, are they?
Is the same as Wednesday, Saturday. But I think it's something in the switch to all the Sunday matches, and I don't know the reason for it, but there is a reason for it, and I would rather just avoid that statistic altogether. Let's get knocked out at the first opportunity and just focus on the one thing that matters. Because like I said, if we win the plastic treble like Liverpool did, we win the UEFA Cup or Europa League, we win the FA Cup and a League Cup, so what? There's only one thing I want to be singing at the end of the season, and that's 21 Man United. That is it. That is the only thing that I want to be talking about. And I want to watch Pep go even balder than Jamie is and just go absolutely off his nut.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. I know. It's a choice. I shave all my hair off every morning.
What are people in the comments saying, mate?
People are saying, drop Rooney, Shrek out, hashtag drop Rooney. Liverpool.
Are they just the same person that commented?
No, that was different people.
Is that you?
Barfoot Jackson, drop Rooney. Who is our biggest threat this season? There's a good topic.
It's got to be City, hasn't it?
I don't think so.
You don't think so? I don't think Chelsea are quite a few signings off still. I think Chelsea a few signings off. I think Arsenal just don't have the right mentality at all. Liverpool, Tottenham, I think are probably Tottenham are the biggest shout. I think Tottenham might finish above Chelsea this season.
I think it's Chelsea. I think Conte is an absolute master. I'm really impressed with Conte. And I think Kante is a hell of a signing. And I think that might make the difference. And I think if they're able to pull Lukaku over the line as well, instead of Costa up front, I think then you've got a wonderful team. Fabregas, Hazard. This is a football team now with a master in charge of them as well. So I think this is the team that was champions.
You think Guardiola's a master then?
I think Pep is bald. And I think that... No, in all seriousness, no. I think Pep Guardiola has got a great system, but he's only got one
Let's
system.
Be honest, none of you three would have been heartbroken if Pep Guardiola was...
No way.
No, I think...
Yeah, you're right.
Conte and Guardiola, I think Guardiola's probably the
I think his system's going to take too long this season to implement.
I think it's United first, City second. That's
I see Chelsea
wrong, but
I think put Chelsea second and City third.
Do you see Scousers doing anything?
No, I don't. No,
honestly.
He's got the same points per game as Brendan Rodgers has. I don't know how long they're going to reel out that it's not his team. Nope.
Right, fair enough.
Any last comments then before we wrap up?
Let's have a look in the comments then. Let's see what everybody is saying. Shit, loads of comments. Choco Moco says United first, Liverpool second, and City in third.
Liverpool second. I'll tell you what, if we finish first with
Ashley
Liverpool
Young
behind us and
centre
City,
mid. That's it. To be exposed.
That's a dream.
What's your top four? Love Gaz's lovely ginger pube locks.
Oh, thank you.
Scousers are
actual
mediocre
pube
again.
locks.
Schweinsteiger. People are asking what's going to happen with Schweinsteiger.
Oh, there's a lot,
Will Pogba win a Ballon d'Or under Jose? I think there's
not without Champions League football. He's not.
I think there's a big question mark over actually who will last the longest out of Guardiola and Mourinho, because I think 3 years from today, both of them won't be here.
Yeah.
I think both of them have probably moved on. If you're a boss, if you're Ed Woodward now, I'm hoping that you've got a director of football on the phone at least.
Donald Trump.
Right. On that note,
if that's happening in 3 years, it means he's not leader of the free world. So that would be one relief.
That would be marginally better, marginally less destructive.
I do think we need to start looking for a new
It's the only job
manager.
we'd leave the President of the United States, so isn't it, Manchester United?
He did say that, didn't he? He did say that.
On that note, we'll wrap things up, guys. Thank you very much for watching our Full-Time Devils Manchester United season preview 2016-2017.
Oh, I've got something
It's
as well.
all very exciting. And obviously, Howson has to have the last word.
If you type in the comments, Pep is bald, then you will get a brand new Manchester United Pogba shirt in your hand the second you press enter. That's no blag. Try it out right now.
We cannot confirm or deny these reports. But guys, thank you very much for joining us. Gaz, Jay, Howson, Jamie. See you next time. Laters.